welcome, and today we are talking about one of my personal favorite movies of this year, Joker. Joker is a movie that would never be made before 2014. The very possibility of a Joker movie required a lot of things to go right, and it required a lot of things to change. In 2014, out of nowhere, a test footage scene was released of the Marvel character Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds, who had played an awful version of that character years before in X-Men Origins Wolverine, was heavily involved in all aspects of its creation. Despite the earlier failure of the character, Reynolds clearly saw potential in Wade Wilson and was willing to do whatever it took to convince the executives at Fox that this movie needed to be made. Fox bit, and they tossed a relatively modest $60 million budget at the film and allowed it to be saddled with an R rating. In 2016, their gamble paid off in spades. Deadpool was an absolutely massive hit. It was funny, it was bloody, and it was unlike anything else out there. So, not only does Fox gamble and win with Deadpool, they also take another gamble on the biggest X-Men character in the arsenal, Wolverine himself. Logan was another hit. Although not as financially successful as Deadpool, it was a better movie and could easily be called the greatest comic book movie of all time. It was violent, it was bloody, it was nasty, it was loaded with all sorts of profanity and adult themes. It took itself seriously and demanded that audiences do the same. While Logan had a Hollywood budget and famous faces, it didn't have a happy ending. It had a real and honest ending, and it hurt. So now, fast forward to 2018. Hangover trilogy director Todd Phillips was finally able to convince Warner Brothers to let him make a character-based drama about the Joker. Now, I can't speak for anybody else, but I shrugged my shoulders at the thought. Haven't we seen enough of this character lately? Apart from the fantastic Jack Nicholson performance in 1989, he was in Christopher Nolan's phenomenal movie The Dark Knight less than 10 years ago. And we got a severely underutilized version of the Clown Prince of Crime in Suicide Squad, a movie that nobody should talk about. I can understand Warner Brothers being hesitant, especially considering how bad the last outing went. Also, why in the world do we need an origin story for the Joker? Isn't part of that character's appeal that we don't know where he comes from? Regardless of what we wanted or expected from a standalone Joker movie, here's what we got. We've been given a masterpiece of a character study. This is an uncomfortable movie with a dirty, cynical version of Gotham at its beating heart. It doesn't feel like something out of a comic book movie universe. It feels like an American city that is at its breaking point, where the haves clash with the have-nots. The politicians clash with the people. A gross, grimy, wicked place where nearly every single person only cares about their own self-interest. That selfishness poisons the air in the subway and on the streets of this Gotham. The film itself follows a struggling comic named Arthur Fleck. Arthur spends his days flipping signs while dressed like a clown, and his evenings moonlighting as a stand-up comic. Arthur doesn't seem particularly adept at either of these jobs, and his pain and failure are palpable to the viewer. I don't want to spoil anything, but Warner Brothers has done a masterful job with the marketing, leaving many sequences and set pieces out of the advertising altogether. This is a movie where the less you know going in, the better. Arthur struggles with life every step of the way, and his issues take front and center to drive the narrative forward. Arthur's negative thoughts dominate and motivate him. We are not asked to like Arthur or empathize with him. We are simply shown the man, warts and all. When Joker was announced with Joaquin Phoenix in the title role, that was the one thing that made everyone take pause in a positive way. How would one of the best actors on the planet take this challenge and make it his own? Phoenix completely owns this character from the second we see him. His physical, mental, and emotional dedication to the role manifests itself in every corner of Arthur's life. We can see it in the way he talks, the way he sits in silence, the way his pale and grotesque body hunches over, and the way he unleashes that maniacal Joker laugh. As good as his performance is, there's something else that has to be talked about. Arthur isn't just a broken man. The world around him has helped make him that way. And Joker teaches us some relevant lessons about how Americans treat each other. Our pessimism and nihilism in 2019 is reflected in this version of Gotham City, and Arthur is the man in the mirror. So, is Joker a movie that I can recommend? Absolutely. This is a masterpiece in world building, a masterpiece in screenwriting, a masterpiece in acting, and a masterpiece in filmmaking. This is as good as cinema gets. That said, this isn't a pleasant movie, it's not a movie for kids, and it's not a superhero movie. This is an experience that takes its time, gets under your skin, and makes you uncomfortable. If you're looking for a comic book movie, I suggest seeing something else. If you're looking for a phenomenal portrait of one man's slow burn breakdown, I cannot recommend Joker enough. This is a movie that most people will only see once, but once is enough. Those are my thoughts on what may be the best movie of 2019. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy my work, please like, subscribe, share, or comment below, and I will see you next time.